be a bed where we congratulate ourselves. I wanna be a rock star for a day. I want like 15 minutes of fame. This is our last.
3 different songs.
Yes.
Yeah. It's always different. I mean, usually, you know, there's the formula, you know, verse, chorus, well, intro,
Right.
verse, chorus, a little piece of the intro, verse, chorus, bridge, solo, little breakdown, double chorus out, and big ending of some kind. And but you know, it depends on the song. I mean, there's you know, that formula sort of works for a reason as far as when things repeat and stick in your head and building them. But for a song like Argentina, I wanted it to be like an epic, like a trilogy almost. So the first part of the song is you know, a verse and a chorus, verse, and chorus just bigger. And then part 2, new part, like new song. So this is the verse and chorus. And all of that. And then from there, at the end of it, just sort of, I guess, paying tribute to the parts that just happened. And then paying tribute to the first section of the song. Doing that guitar solo over what was like the first part. And then the breakdown. And then sort of like a finale, which was similar to the first part, but just more intense, different key. But really, if you look at the chord structure, like the way the chords relate.
Like the first part, right?
Always different melodies and stuff. So it's almost using the idea of old classical music, where there would be something that happens, you know, whatever it is, okay, this going on, and then that all finishes, and then you have part 2, which is some kind of little diversion, and then it goes back to some, you know, boosted up version of that first part in a way. So fugues and cannons and things like that, and the old classical way of doing stuff. You have part 1, part 2, which is diversion, part 3, which is like an expansion of part 1. So I sort of did the same thing. So this was like part 1 expanded. It was really just an expansion of. Just more of the just build a whole big build to the like a finale. It was taking the foundation of the original part, bringing it the key of C minor, and then having like 2 melodies kind of dancing with each other, the guitar and the vocal.
Okay. Yeah.
And even that spot right there is sort of, you know, nodding to this guitar solo. It's like redoing the guitar solo piece of it in this. So like everything is connecting to everything in some way. Yeah, so it's all just sort of taking all the ideas and themes and making them circle around and show themselves, ghosts of it in different spots and things like that. Oh yeah, yeah. It was all just, you know, staring at, like really like figuring it out in my head or on paper or whatever, but to just make it all work, to make sure that everything worked and everything sort of came back to an idea at a certain time. Yeah, or that even at the very end, it starts with cellos, you know, and then at the very end, the very last time around, the cellos come in bouncing again. So even how, you know, it finalizes with the opening instrumentation, bringing the cello back from the beginning to the very end, all of that stuff. Yeah. Everything was very orchestrated, and it wasn't random. The theory explains it, but what the theory does is that when it's in your head, you'll be aware of something that might clash. So let's say you have a melody that goes, theory-wise, you may say, okay, let me not go with it, because you'll get that the first note, and then the second note would be that. So you say, oh wait, that would clash. You know it would clash theory-wise, but also you know just from the sound of it, just knowing sound. So instead of going, you might go, or stuff like that. Those would all work. It's more like pattern than, it's not musical theory, it's more like pattern theory, you could say. So I wanted something that would just have this feeling of, you know, like spinning out of control kind of thing, but make it really chaotic and frantic and just, you know, like you've really, you know, nutty, wanted to sound nutty. So finding a way to just bounce around the octaves like that. Same thing, I did it on the first album in that song, like that thing, which is just going, so it's going down, then up one, down and back, and then up, and then up and down. But I'm doing it in different octaves. Yeah, so it's doing those notes, but separating the octaves. It's like you have a mood that you want to make happen. So it's like, this is what I'm picturing. This is almost like, what would you call it? You know, I love chords on horns that have this feeling of, I guess, James Bond. I guess if I had to name three things, let's say Pink Panther, James Bond, and what the hell is the name of that show? At Agent 86 and 99, Get Smart. So an example of each, you know. Yeah, with the at the end, that like that kind of thing. The show Get Smart, if you ever watched that. It's similar. It was like a spy show. It was like a comedy version of James Bond. Music was really cool to it. So there was a guitar that went, and the horns. So having that minor major 7 gives you that effect.
Okay.
So. And that kind of sound. So same kind of thing. It's having horn blasts doing, and the chords were doing that kind of thing, and having just this weird, crazy time of 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And so you have something that's keeping that rhythm, just a rhythm guitar and a bass going with the drums to keep. Well, you have this, so you have that going at the bottom, and then. And then mixing on top of it just to make it really just, just psycho, having the thing that's doing the in the different octaves. And you put it together and it just has that feel. So theory could describe it, but it's more of just saying, okay, this is the sound I'm going for, and this is how I get it by, putting in that kind of, kind of thing, like those dissonant things in there, and the instrumentation to remind of that 60s style of jazz orchestration that was used in all those kind of shows to create a feeling of suspense. So it had to have that feeling of suspense plus chaos. And putting the two together, that's what I think. Then I could go back and say, well, why? Why does that work? What is going on there? And then you can use theory to describe it and use the language to say, well, it's a chromatic thing, but we're playing them all inverted into major 7s. Instead of it's the same as. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it adds up to 11. So that pattern matches up in the timing of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 11. And then he's hitting on the ones of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And it all just, it's like, I know the language and I want to tell a story. So I'm going to use the words I know and arrange them in a way that will make people feel the way I want them to feel from this. I want them to picture what I'm picturing. If you want them to see green, you use the word green. That kind of thing. So it's the same just with musical language.
Okay.
So the same way, you want to write a sad song, it's probably going to have a lot of minor in it. Yeah, overly complicated, but same thing. Yes, this is the overly complicated version, but it's the same thing. You want to write a happy song, it'll have 1, 4, and 5 chords that are all happy, all major. You want it to sound very frightening, you're going to use flat 5s in there. That kind of stuff. Yeah. You want it to be a little fun, you use a dominant 7. Everything helps everything, yeah. The ears, the theory, the just playing on the instrument, all of that. It all helps. Like, for example, the song Normal. What was I going for? I was going for this feeling of freedom, this feeling of like I'm happy. But also in the chorus feeling this sense of I wouldn't say euphoria, but liberation. Like I feel like allowed to be happy. And I feel like the music and the words all work for that. You know? The but a little weird, like when I say it's so nice to be normal for a change, like on that line, like adding the, you know, show what it is to not be normal, you know? So nice to be normal change. You know, and then the bounce of it, even the rhythm of it, you know? Is kind of like happy, just happy. So that was the idea of that. But then sometimes going a little darker, you know. That kind of thing. Like the end choruses where it's doing like that. Putting in the minor builds instead of the major builds. To show that, you know, normal, but not completely, you know, like there's still an underlying unresolved something going on. So all of that, it's all telling the story.